Welcome to Random in Psychology, where I choose a random topic from the general psychology textbook and talk about it for a little bit. This is useful for people who are interested in learning more about psychology, for psychology college students, for AP psychology students, and like I said, anyone who's just interested in learning cool new stuff. Now, generally, when we think about stress, we think bad, right? But we can actually recognize that there's multiple different kinds of stressors. So some of them that we think of generally tend to be like these big stressors. So the pandemic was a big stressor, right? And it negatively impacted almost everybody. We can also think of big life changes as a stressor. But what we tend to forget about are what are called daily hassles. And these are kind of the little things that happen throughout the day, throughout our weeks, throughout our months that kind of cumulatively add up to stress. So thinking about financial stuff, thinking about our job, and whether or not our job is safe. Thinking about interactions with friends, with peers, with our significant other, with our children. Those are all what we call daily hassles. And I'm not calling your children a hassle, but what I am saying is that these are all small daily stressors that impact us on the daily event as opposed to a larger stressor that we tend to think of when I say stressor that might not impact us in small amounts throughout our days. So, as we're thinking about these daily stressors or daily hassles, we can think about different categories of them. So, one source of a daily hassle is going to be financial stressors. Another one is going to be the physical source. So, if we have long term pain or if we have pain that starts, that would be an example of a daily stressor. Professional sources, so job related sources, finding a job, looking for a new job, doing professional development. Those may be examples of daily hassles, as well as relational sources of daily hassles. So again, talking about our interpersonal relationships, whether they be romantic or non-romantic, and then the environmental source. So we could think about, if our car needs gas, that would be a daily hassle. So the little things that tend to add up, those are what we would think of as daily hassles. So, how do these daily stressors impact us? First of all, we could think about our mental health. They increase our anxiety, they increase our irritability, and they may increase symptoms of depression. We can think about our physical health. So, they may elevate our stress hormones. They may weaken our immune system, which may then influence us to develop colds or be more susceptible to getting sick. And then we are more at risk for developing chronic illnesses if we have increased levels of daily hassles or daily life stressors. We can also think about the cumulative effects of these daily life hassles. So if we experience high levels of daily life hassles every day, we might see that they could contribute to long-term negative health outcomes. So the next question becomes, how do we deal with them, right? Beating on the steering wheel of your car as you're stuck in traffic may feel like a good way to deal with that particular daily hassle, but it may not be the best strategy. So, learning stress management techniques can definitely be beneficial. So, for example, learning relaxation techniques and exercises, focusing on mindfulness, meditation, those can be helpful. Um, Practicing good time management strategies can be helpful as well. So, for example, adding in time for potential traffic could be useful in terms of helping us to mentally cope with these daily hassles. Social support is going to be really important. Some of the research that I've been reading recently has talked about the relational aspect being the highest influencer of daily hassles. And so, if we have good social support, if we feel that we have people that we can talk to, people that we can vent to, people that, if we want it, can give good advice, that can be definitely beneficial in terms of our ability to effectively deal with these daily hassles. Another thing we can think about is our problem solving abilities. So, using that big frontal lobe of ours to make better decisions or to make decisions about how do we deal with those daily hassles. And maybe, is that daily hassle something that we can change, or is it something that we can maybe decrease, get rid of? So, if a daily hassle, for example, traffic, is very much negatively impacting our job and our life, maybe finding a job that's closer, maybe living in a place that doesn't involve driving through traffic, maybe changing our hours at work so that we're not stuck in traffic, maybe working from home. So, not all of these are options for everyone, but it's important for us to think about, okay, these daily stressors that I have, the ones that are the worst for me, is it possible for me to make some changes to them so that they aren't negatively impacting me as much? We also want to think about our cognitions or thoughts relating to those daily hassles, because our cognitions about those daily hassles, our thoughts about those daily hassles, are going to impact how they impact our brain and our body. So if we think about them as, like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying, it happens all the time. So if our mental set is kind of pessimistic or negative, then we're going to perceive daily hassles as much more annoying, much more frustrating, and they're going to have a larger and more long-term impact. Whereas if we think maybe more in a positive way and we remind ourselves that, this is normal, stuff happens, and it's not a big deal, then we are more likely to perceive that daily hassle as a small thing, a bump as opposed to a crater in the road, and to move past it more quickly. And it's not as likely to affect our mental health and physical health in terms of long-term influence. And then, if we tried all of these things, so we've got a great support system, we've tried working on our own cognitions, we've tried relaxation, we've tried problem solving, and none of this is working, it might be a good idea to talk to a counselor about your daily hassles and how you can better deal with those. Okay, so today has been our Random in Psychology talking about the idea of daily hassles. See you tomorrow.